Waiters, what Valentine Day disasters have you witnessed? I saw a couple have a full-blown argument in the middle of the restaurant. The woman stood up, took her ring off, threw it at him and walked out. The man continued his meal, had dessert and then paid the bill, left a pretty big tip for the inconvenience and left. 2 failed marriage proposals on the same Valentine's Day. The first one simply said, "No, I can't do this," and walked out. The second one stared like a deer frozen in the headlights for an excruciating 30 seconds before muttering, "Let's talk about this later." They stayed for the rest of their 6-course V-Day special dinner, eating and making painful small talk. It wasn't disastrous for the couple as much as it was the restaurant. I used to work at a small southeastern franchise restaurant. It wasn't anything you could mistake for upscale. We had someone call in and ask if we could fry the ring he was planning to propose with in a hush puppy. Extremely weird request, but we said sure. They come in to eat with their families. She gets her order of hush puppies, doesn't choke on the ring and seems excited enough. Stayed at the table for about 2 hours total and chatted. They dined and dashed. I walked up to a table and was about to drop off the bill. Caught the end of it's over. Guy looked at me dead in the eye and said to split the duck and check. Right now. Not really a disaster, but this guy came in and said he was waiting for his date. He stayed for 5 hours waiting and she never showed. He eventually ordered for himself and asked that I remove the other glass of water from the table. He said it was their first date. Not a total disaster, but still not good. Had a table of 2 people, probably in their mid-40s last year. Took 45 minutes for this couple to get their entrees due to our kitchen being way too slammed. When they were dropped at the table, they immediately asked for to-go boxes because they told their babysitter they'd be home by a certain time. I overheard the wife say, "Well, I guess this is why we don't celebrate Valentine's Day." The worst part was that they weren't angry. Just very sad. My personal feelings about dining out on Valentine's Day aside, I felt so horrible that this couple clearly had put in an effort to have a nice night with each other only to have it go that way. We compound their meals. BTW. A 16-year-old boy proposed to a 15-year-old girl with a cheap ring in the whipped cream of her dessert. She said yes. "I just got my first electric piano and I'm eager to learn this instrument. Now that is a reason to be alive. Music. I want to master this thing before I go." Someone showing up for a date and you both realize about 30 minutes and she ain't coming. Drinks on me, buddy. Using really soft yarn to knit something nice for someone. Calling a friend and hearing the joy in their voice when they realize it's me. Snow days. Making s'mores at a bonfire. It's all the little things. I hope you can find all the little things you love in life. There's so many. Please be safe, friend. Back when I served food at one of those super tourist seafood restaurants, I worked a Valentine's Day double shift. For lunch, this younger couple came in celebrating their 1-year anniversary. I offer my congratulations and proceed to do my usual spiel before taking orders. The girl is looking more and more dismayed the longer I talk. Finally, I get to the end and ask if there are any allergies. She looks directly at her boyfriend and states, "Yes, I'm allergic to fish and shellfish." Then looks over at me very sad. I made sure every aspect of her meal was fine for her. But it was that look of "we've been dating a year and he still takes me to a restaurant that could kill me" that really did it for me. Not really much of a disaster. But last year my work called me up. "Hey buddy, we know you're single. Can you come in as an extra shift tonight? There's always a new story. But that moment when you find a good one and it connects with you? Chef's kiss." He proposed. She said no. He cried and tried to change her mind for 20 minutes while she sat there stony-faced. She finally got up and walked out. He paid and left in tears. Bus boy on Las Vegas Strip. An attempted proposal. Dude tries to set up sign with GF's friends for her to show up and see the ring near a fountain. Duck stole the ring. They found it 2 hours later as he dropped in the fountain. She still said yes. Free drinks were given. Was a server at a popular seafood chain that isn't very fancy, but when you live in a town like the one I worked in, that sort of place is the nicest place to go for Valentine's Day. Well, the night was incredibly busy when a couple came in. They were upset after waiting 45 minutes for a table, and they were complaining quite a lot. The woman was decked out in a super nice dress and faux fur coat that was actually very realistic. Well, she was sat and served her frozen drink. She goes to lift the glass to her mouth, and inexplicably, the bottom of the cup simply breaks and the drink is spilled all over her dress and nice coat. Was unfortunate. Younger couple came in for what I can only assume was a first date. Ordered a pizza but never ate. Caught up in conversation, I guess? Guy must have been feeling confident BC about 2 hours, and he gets up, goes to the bathroom, and then decides to sit next to her in the booth rather than across from her where he was before. I swear to you, she then got up and used the restroom about 10 minutes later. And when she came back, decided it would best if they didn't sit next to each other and sat in his original place. Please refrain from doing this. A girl that I worked with went to lunch on Valentine's Day at an expensive restaurant her boyfriend had gotten a reservation for. She got dressed up nice, was going on about how sure she was that he was going to propose. He broke up with her. Not my table. But back in my Olive Garden days, we had a man who looked to be in his mid-20s tap his empty wine glass with a fork to call for attention of the surrounding strangers. Then get down on one knee with silver band in hand, and ask his girlfriend/date to accept this promise ring. She looked horrified start to finish. He said, loose quote, "You can wear a hat. Go to Denny's. Please look up Norm's takes on death and dying." Seth MacFarlane asked him to voice death for a reason. No doubt. A guy proposed to his girlfriend and she said no. The guy threw his arms up and ran out of the building. Later, while waiting for someone to pick her up, she told us it was completely out of the blue, because they'd only been dating for a few months. Another V-Day. A guy raised a huge fuss over the fact that we wouldn't serve liquor to his underage girlfriend. Not a waiter, but I was a pastry chef at this big resort in Cape Cod. We got a special order from this guy who was coming in for his anniversary, Valentine's Day. He wanted his dessert to have "Will you marry me?" written on it so he could pop the question when it came out. He called ahead to the front and back kitchen. Even came in himself that morning to make sure it was good to go. The whole crew was behind him. We had cooks all night coming in to ask if it had happened yet. I wrote the inscription on the plate and dressed it to the nines with gold leaf and expensive chocolate. I'm taking a picture of the plate just before it's set to go out and notice our head waiter come in with a weird look on his face. He says plainly they don't need it. She broke up with him before the entrees hit the table. A couple sitting at the bar were enjoying their night out. The man got up from his bar stool and left for the bathroom, as his girlfriend was alone, and absolutely wasted, at the bar. A random woman approached and revealed that she recently matched with a woman's boyfriend on Tinder and had hooked up a week earlier. The drunk girlfriend refused to believe this story, so the woman showed her his Tinder profile and their conversation. The boyfriend returned to a drunk, sobbing and screaming girlfriend. I felt like I was watching a reality TV show. It was incredible. The poor girl was basically carried out of the bar by her boyfriend of 3 years, whom she just discovered has been cheating on her for who knows how long. It was the most dramatic moment I have ever experienced, and it was absolutely none of my business. Old man proposed to old woman. He tried to get off the chair to kneel, tripped and fell, and I assume broke something since he couldn't get back up, and we had to call an ambulance. My manager had to drive her teeth to the hospital separately because she had taken them out to eat her soup, Lord knows why, and left them on the table in the confusion. In college I waited tables, and Valentine's Day was always a good one in terms of tips. I once saw a couple come in to eat. Halfway through the dinner the man's wife shows up to surprise the couple. The wife took the wine bottle and poured the remnants on the husband's head, took off her ring and told the girlfriend she could have him. He tipped me a $100. A new kind of cooking. A new sport. Climbing another mountain. Seeing new things. Having the next fall come in and see the leaves in a new pattern of red, orange and yellow. And this is just without leaving my usual environment. The sheer difference it would make if I just now took a plane to somewhere in Asia and start a new life there is mind-boggling. But beautiful. I love that about life. It never gets old. A guy did a backflip and asked a girl to be his Valentine. She declined. I walked up to him and asked if he was fine. He said it took him a week to perfect. Clothes, gift cards to shops, hygiene stuff, and go into out local city and give them to people. We have created real friendship with some of the people we gave it to. I have seen people manage to get back on their feet and get sorted. That's what keeps me going, knowing even a small thing can help, and maybe help that person clean up for an interview or keep 5THEM going for a few extra days. Yeah. I was the disaster. I was a news server. And horrible. I dumped an entire tray on the floor. My bad. Had a man and woman sharing dessert, and the man playfully put a bit of the ice cream on her nose. She then did the same and he did it back once more, but with a different flavor of ice cream. She flipped out at him because you know I like chocolate the most, why would you waste it, you idiot? In the end she stormed out cause the man couldn't comprehend how much she was blowing up the situation. TLDR. Man put ice cream on woman's nose, she is fine with it the first time. The second time she rages and leaves. I set my hair on fire and spilled a full Stella on a lady. I work in a causal fine dining steakhouse. Luckily for me, the lady I spilled the Stella on was super understanding, and her husband said from across the table, well, now she has to take her pants off. So that could have gone worse for me. There was a note in our reservations that it was an engagement. They wanted champagne, a specific seat, bunch of other stuff. The server comes up to the table with something like, so I read, we're celebrating an engagement. Congratulations. Confusion from the woman, glaring from the guy. He hadn't proposed yet. She ruined it. Couples who are close to the spring breakup trying to save everything on one meaningless holiday dinner. You see at least one every year. Playing with babies. Flipping through a stack of records. Hitting the rev limiter. Perfectly ripe watermelons. My dog. Everything lavender scented. A goal scored with 2 minutes left in the third. When the coffee/cream/sugar balance is flawless. Painting a room with friends. The electrical buzz when you walk downtown after rain. Overdressing for events. Finding something you thought was lost forever. I could write a million of these and they change every day. I started enjoying it. I have good friends and I am having a lot of fun with them, so it's not so bad anymore. I know that this will probably never get read. But that actually works as a metaphor for my life. I don't care if no one knows about it. I am just happy that it exists. My existence is nothing more than that. And witnessing existence is in itself an amazing thing. I battled depression for a while because I wasn't able to find meaning in my life. And every now and then it comes creeping back, but I exist. And I think it's amazing. When life is shitty. Or fantastic. I just remember that I exist. Because that's all I really am. The amount of beauty in the world that we lived in. Tonight. After a long day of dealing with stuff nobody should ever have to go through. I looked up while walking to my car in the parking lot at the black night sky. And saw dozens of brightly lit stars shining down at me. It was an amazing sight. And made me think that light, even though it took it millions to billions of years, can still reach me. It's little things like that which helps keep me going. Because I don't know if I will get to do any of the things I enjoy doing once I am dead. Nobody knows what if anything happens to your consciousness on death, so without that knowledge I am not in a rush to get there. Concerts when Chester Bennington commits suicide. It made me realize I have to see as many of my favorite artists live as I can. I will never be able to see Linkin Park live anymore and it haunts me. Who knows which band will fall apart next, so I need to see them all while I have the opportunity. This is keeping me alive and motivated for the future even when I'm super depressed. I have 6 concerts planned this year and I couldn't be more excited. This will probably get lost. But it's officially been 1 year since I almost ended my life. And I'm pretty proud of it and wanted to share it. It's always the little things that keep me going. Sunsets. Endorphin rushes after workouts. Pancakes. Little moments of joy with my friends. Art. Trying new things. Etc. I don't always feel better than that day a year ago. But I know that there will always be moments in the future that I will feel better that make everything worth it. Dear God. This is like the most wholesome threads ever. Everyone got an award. You get an award. You get an award. Everyone gets an award. There are so many things that I want to learn as well as so many things that I want to be good at. I love working hard and seeing progress and improvement. It's just too fun. Because sometimes there's animals and sometimes I can pet them and then things are a bit better for a while. The woods and the ocean. Getting the giggles that don't quit with anyone. But especially with a close friend. I don't think there's anything better. I met a blind guy at the bar tonight. We started talking about normal small talk. He asked me what I did for work. After my rambling on about my job for a few minutes, I asked him what he did for work. He responded, well, it's kind of complicated. I said back to him, please don't tell me you're a truck driver. He laughed harder than I've seen anyone laugh in a long time. Long story short, sometimes people that have life harder than you need to laugh, and you might just be the person to loosen up their lives or whatever. I've been suicidal for about half of my 23 years, but I was lucky and met my soulmate. Life doesn't feel so empty anymore. I don't feel so empty. He's always there for me and he makes the future seem exciting and worthwhile. Things are so different from a year ago when I was so filled with rage for having the misfortune of being born. I'm glad I didn't die before I met him. I'd love to die, honestly. I'm just still here because, well, I don't know why actually. But I can't die at the moment because I have to give my pet cat a precious second chance at her life. She was adopted. To make mistakes. To err. To learn. To experience. To laugh. And to love. To be very much human. To look forward to tomorrow. A brighter day. With endless hope. To see another smile. Feel the brush of wind. And smell freshly cut grass. To hold a child up high. And hope the same for it. But also to cry. To despair and to lose hope. To be heartbroken. Gutted and lost. To feel no end to the darkness. And become despondent. To be blind in a world without light. Without a guide and without direction. To feel completely helpless. And then to rise once more. With empathy. Love. Candor and affection from close family and friends. To find direction once more. To forgive and forget. And crucially, to offer a hand to anyone in a plight similar. To be utterly human. Yo, how does this man have so many awards? LOL, congrats my guy. You're a star. How do I have an award? Someone is throwing some real cash around. LOL. I was born autistic. And when I was 2 years old, some of my old neighbors just told to my mother that I wouldn't have a future with my autism. And I love my life because the more I grow, the more I prove them wrong.